Right, testing, welcome, blah blah blah. I have too many webcams. But 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth webcam is actually there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 webcams. That webcam is a live view of my outside my balcony. So this webcam is pointed out the window. So I've been wanting to do that for a while. The background is basically, yeah, the background there is basically a live feed from my window. Anyway, I got a. What happened is I just meant to go buy a decent webcam, but then they didn't have the one I wanted, so I bought this crappy cheap one, and then I bought the one I wanted. So now I've got the crappy cheap one and the one I wanted, and the one I had, which is the old one, which is pointing out the window. And yeah, so this new one is good enough for what to do with this one. Probably want to point it at the keyboard rather, if I can. Not sure. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. Problem is it's not in the way of the screen. That almost works. Yeah, then this central webcam is basically redundant. So come on. Maybe I can point it at those flowers. Flowers? No. screen. It's close enough. I'm just trying to decide how to arrange these damn things, but I better start doing some real work now. I'm just playing around now. This is not real work. This is called avoiding work. Okay, why is that doing nothing? Desktop mode. Maybe if I put that at the top, it'll look better. That is not auto-hiding. Surely not in tablet mode. I could put it at the top, but it's going to be a bit weird and confusing. And then it does give me slightly more space there. No. What? Status bar. Here. That can go all the way down like that. Yeah, that makes more sense. Right, I want to make coffee. So I want to just carry on from yesterday. I got the delete stuff working. I just need to plug my charger in. This is like a totally different arrangement now. I just want this like live. And the view in the background. Tel Aviv skyline. Oops. No, but this is actually kind of cool because in a way I can in the past, yeah, what I can do now, this chat window that annoys me so much sometimes, I can now do something like that, window capture the chat, that's not working, why not? It's blank. Okay, let's delete that one, try again later. Okay. That looks weird, it looks like looks like my hands are coming out there and into the keyboard. Yes, I was just busy working on this networking stuff. Oh, I need to plug this in and make some coffee. Be right back. If it's so many flipping cameras here, I'm afraid to even walk anyway. I feel like I'm gonna be on camera everywhere I go. Okay, so I got the networking stuff. I got the delete stuff working, but I couldn't stream it. That I was trying to get working yesterday, but I couldn't stream it because I ran out of internet data. But the deletes work, so I can now we can have client 1 connect. So the first Telex runs as a server now. This one connects as a client to that one. Now we're going to run a third one. I don't know if it's going to hang. It's hanging. I'm having a problem that the whole thing's hanging, and I don't know if it's a thread issue or a race condition. And because there's 3 different applications involved, it's a little bit, I don't know, it could be, the race condition could be between, multiple clients trying to connect and the service trying to, okay, so we got client number 1, client number 2, and what you can do now basically, let's say we select the entry duty free, we can say delete that entry, save it. Oh, it's open. Let's try it again. So now it saves in the server. Okay. But now in the other client. Okay, yeah. So that's what it should work now. If I say network update, boom, it disappears. So there I got working yesterday, and that ostensibly seems to be working nicely now. So we can delete, but the second time I tried it, the application froze. So now I need to figure out why we're getting hangs. So let's try it the other way around. We're going to delete Duvet in this client. And we save our change. The moment we save, in the server we see it disappear, and as soon as we refresh, which should happen by itself if we just sit and do nothing, it should eventually poll for updates, or we can click that green button and manually trigger it. Boom, it disappears, no crashes. Let's go the other way around again. Dustpan, save. Saving, no deletion. Why did it say 2? I think there might be a +1 gets added there, saving, no deletion. So that's actually working beautifully, I don't know, but hasn't even hung yet. I plus 1 of... I don't know why they said 2 there. I could swear there was a 2. I forgot what I deleted now. Dustman. No, Dustman, Dusty. Ah, this one just hung. This is not the same as the hung I had yesterday. Dustpan. That's a different hang. Tuesday. If it's Tuesday, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I don't know, it's Monday. I don't have to be there, it's just I want to be there. That's definitely hanging. Let's check if the others are hung or if they're fine. So those one's hanging, the other's fine. Let's see what happens. Let's have it delete duster. Okay. In this client. How many to save? 1 of 1. I didn't have a 2 there. I don't know why I saw a 2 there earlier. Alright, so save and boom. The hanging could have something to do. This no, this one's hanging in a client. It could have something to do with it could very well have something. There's several things this could be. This architecture is quite complex. It's a multi-threaded architecture and it's a client-server architecture. And the one possible candidate for what's causing the problem is it could have something to do with the this stuff, the user interface. It could be this causing problems, maybe, because conventionally you're not supposed to do thread stuff in you can hear a dog bark somewhere. It's annoying. Anyway, the yeah, so normally in Windows, if you do multi-threading, Windows traditionally does not like it if you do user interface stuff from a thread. Generally speaking. No, I don't know if newer versions of Windows are a little bit better at it. I don't know. Or you can just do limited things, user things from a thread. Because I enabled it and it kind of seems to work, but I don't know it's possible that the fact that it's trying to do user interface stuff, the client saves a change to the server. The server has a listening thread. That thread says, okay, an entry has been deleted, and it tells the user interface to update. It generates an event which tells the user interface to update to delete the entry in the user interface, which is why in the server, the moment the client saves, we see the entry disappear. Boom. Now, I don't know, it could be causing problems. Like, it could be that if the timing is just wrong, that, you know, maybe it's doing UE stuff in the main thread or something, and then it does UE stuff in the server, in the client handling thread at the very same time. It's possible that maybe that thread hangs, and then the client... Yeah, no, does that make sense? Not in, maybe. Or some other problem, yeah, it could cause some other sort of issue. And then when the client, you know, the client doesn't get a response from the server, so it's waiting for a response, possibly, and hangs. Or the other client tries to connect to the server, doesn't get a response, and maybe then is also sitting with like some kind of hanging going on. I don't know if that's one theory as to what's going on. Another theory as to what's going on is that I'm not sufficiently, in terms of the hanging problems, it could have something to do with, you know, I've got this class, TCT-Lex server, and it's got some members that are accessed from multiple threads, the multiple different client threads at different times, and it accesses structures that aren't always exclusively locked. So for example, the auth sessions structure is continually accessed by multiple threads, but it doesn't really change. So normally read-only access is fine. Like normally you don't need to worry about multiple. I mean, it's not a good idea. It should still work. But I've got multiple client threads read-only accessing the same structure. Although it's possible maybe accessing the structure itself is not a problem, but maybe iterators on the structure. So that's another theory as to what's going wrong, is maybe the fact that I've got multiple threads accessing members. My gut feel is that that's not the problem, but with threads, yeah, I mean it's very often the problem. That's, you know, if you're having funny random hangs, there's a good chance that it's something like that. I fixed at least one issue like that last night, because in the TCT-Lex server class, so let me check something. Oh, this should actually be good. All the shit I'm talking about would be good to have on live coding. Okay, there we go, it's on. So yeah, we have this TCT-Lex server. So let's just browse through the members. Yeah, generally if you're having weird hangs in a multi-threaded architecture, then it could also be that something is accessing stuff in the document that causes problems. A question would be, so maybe I'm not locking the document in the main thread, and the main thread is doing something to the document. But I don't think so, because the main thread doesn't do anything to the document. So over the document itself, we have a read-write lock. Because we have a readers-writer lock, because we have multiple threads, multiple client threads getting edit commands from different connected clients, we have to have this a reader's writer lock. It's locking either for read or write, depending on what you're doing to the document, and that's really important. And if you don't do that, you're going to have big problems. And it's possible that there are things, because I only recently added that, it's possible it's not always being locked correctly in the right places where it needs to be. I could check the logs and see if there's clues. Let's check the logs and see if there's clues on this hanging one. Update local tlax. So that one there would be the problematic one. I had a poll for updates. So it's called poll for updates, and it's asking for updates from the server. And it receives an update. It says there, I've received the command node deleted. So that client has hung basically in the code I added yesterday. Poll. Yeah, somewhere here, okay. Receive command node equals deleted. And since that's the very next lock, that's an interesting clue, because look, poll for updates command, the last thing logged when it hung is that, by the looks of it. And since the command is node deleted, it's almost certainly gone into this branch. Yeah. And since the very next log is here, and this log has not appeared anyway, then there's a good chance it's either hung there or there. And this is interesting. What the hell? Why would it log? Why would that cause a problem? Why do we need to do this in the client? We don't. But it shouldn't cause a problem. I mean, we should do it in the client actually, but it shouldn't cause a problem because there's no threads in the client. Or is this what? Client poll for updates. Because this is code that gets called on the client side. And since this log didn't seem to happen, it implies, although let me just make sure that log file is synced correctly. Update local tlax. We can do that by wrong one. By copying it. Yeah, that's the last thing that got logged. So command equals node deleted. If command is node deleted, going to this thing. This didn't get logged. So either it hung there, which is very unlikely, or it hung there. Why would a write lock? It would lock if there's another thread that already has locked the document. Or maybe we've locked the document. I wonder what happens. I wonder if this log is re-entrant. I'm not sure. Boost unique lock. Readers write the right lock. Boost unique log on a shared mutex. If this is not a re-entrant lock, the client should be only using one thread. But I'm not sure, like if something calls a lock and that's not a re-entrant mutex, then it could be critical sectioning itself. But it must be locked now. Surely they are re-entrant normally. I don't know. Isn't that just the standard? Or there's a thread somewhere doing something. What thread? Accessing the document in the client. Or maybe it's hung there and didn't get there. Or this log didn't sync. Log. We can test that by adding more logs. Logs, but I can't. But then I have to try to duplicate it. I just write a write lock. Now this is happening on client side. The threading less of an issue. Yeah, doc lock. Maybe this thing needs to be initialized specially or something. Can't remember. Document manager. Create the write lock on behalf of caller if requested. If multi-threaded document access. It could be only the server creates, but then this thing would hang every single time if this was the problem. It would literally hang every time. It wouldn't even have worked once. Unless star pp lock m.lock reader's writer it's possible it's corrupted. It's very strange because we're in the client. This shared mutex is locked. Not writing returns doc is locked. Doc is locked, returned MB locked. The reader's writer, but that MB locked doesn't get set. Does it? MB locked false. Well, it does. In the constructor of the reader's writer write lock helper class. So the constructor creates this lock on the reader's writer mutex and then sets locked to true. I think something like that, but kill server. Maybe this is the problem. Let's add some logs. Two, three. Okay. Here's write lock. Constructor. The only thing I can think is if this is already locked and it's not allowed to re-enter. But I don't actually think that's very likely. No, it is possible actually. Or it doesn't get initialized properly in the first place, because maybe only the server. I shift F multi-threaded document access. Outlook. Star pblock equals a new. What? Oh, this doesn't live in the document. Reader's router lives in the document. Then what's that pplock thing? Reader's router has a mutex and it lives in the document. Friend class, reader's router outlook. What's this for? Create the outlook on behalf of call if requested. If second parameter passed in. No. Oh. Okay. Don't know what that's about. Reader's router outlook. Scenarios, retrieve next ID. Save deleted. This is server side. Request checkout is server side. Server edit entry, that's server side stuff. Remember, the client has a document and the server has a document, and they're not the same document. They are the same document from the user's perspective, but they, yeah, I mean, so they're not to be confused. Reader's router outlook, that for updates, this is client stuff. Why does it work most of the time and then suddenly it doesn't work? I wonder, he has an idea. I know what happens, maybe. Okay. Here's my theory. Okay. That. I think I know what may be happening. Maybe. This reader's router is, okay, this reader's router is outlook. Let's just check something here. Could it be? No, deleted. Let's just check. But then the logs would reflect this. Co-perform return equals 0 get at 21:17:30. No deleted. Okay. And then it calls this pulp press command. I think I know what's happening, but I think I know what's happening. This is very obscure actually. This so it polls for updates when I click the button. Okay. And then the server has this on the queue that we have an update ready for this client. Wait, this still doesn't make sense, actually. No, it doesn't make sense. Both updates, chronicles, and look, the first time it logged successfully, okay, it calls delete entry. Delete entry deletes the current entry, and so it sets selected entry to a different entry, okay. Set selected entry triggers UE stuff. It's something along the lines of the problem triggers UE stuff. UE stuff triggers the on idle handler to happen. The on idler thing. Anyway, it's not on idle. Sorry, it's not on idle, but it's something similar. Deleting the selected entry causes it to set a new selected entry. Setting a new selected entry. Now remember, it's already in a client handler. It's busy waiting for a result from the server, busy processing it. Set selected entry wants to refresh the user interface, so it wants to get the checkout status to find out if that new selected entry is checked out or whatever, in order to display it. So it initiates a new command, a new curl command to the server, while it's already in the handler of the previous one, which seems like bad news to me. I don't think... Is that inherently bad news? Should we even allow that? Or should we have something that says we're busy already talking to the server, first get finished and done with what we're doing, and then... Because why would it be a problem though? Why would it cause a problem? Even though it's not right, it's got something to do with what's going wrong here. So it calls get checkout status. I'm not sure what the server will do, but the server appears to have handled it no problem. The server said, hey, the checkout status is such and such. And again, probably for the next entry in the preview, probably do several. Yeah, so it's not per se a problem. I mean, it's getting the checkout status, gets a result from the server, does its thing no problem. Oh, wait, this is not... Oh man, this is not where it hung. Let's just scroll up here and go backwards. So we're in a poll for updates, but let's check. No, but then my theory is wrong. It's not what's happening, because this looks fine. Let's just check. Shift F3, Shift F3. Okay. F3, Shift F3. Yeah, no, my theory is wrong. It calls IOPOL for updates, and it does get a result from the server. It starts handling the result. The result looks correct because it's got a command. It says, yeah, command, no deleted. Oh, it leaves me back at square one without a clue. Other than that, it's somewhere around here. Maybe it didn't even go in there. Command equals, no deleted. I will soon find out. There's another possibility. No, it's not a possibility. Let's try duplicate it again and see, and just see if we can confirm if that's exact. Probably we'll get a different hang this time, somewhere else entirely. I don't see how, even if IO.poll for updates is called by poll for updates, alright, and poll for updates is called by IO update. An IO update is called by, if this thing where we call it does a lock document, then maybe that's a reentrant lock issue. But then it would happen every time. It would never work. It would always hang. Not only sometimes hang. So that is not what's going wrong. It's not the reentrant. Maybe it's just corruption somewhere. I feel a bit sick, that's why it's actually a little bit painful to talk. End process tree, end process tree. Right, it's time for some new test runs, see if we can get more clues. And here we go again. Start server. It could have something to do, maybe it sometimes happens at subdot because maybe it's got something to do with whether the entry is selected or not. Like, I think the ones that didn't hang, the entry wasn't selected, wasn't it? So maybe, yeah, like let's select flight attendant there, and then select it in this client, and delete it in this client. Oops, delete it. Save the deletion. Oh look, is this a hang? In a different place. Oh. This is the hang over yesterday. Hang like, no, yeah, hang like this. This client and this server hang. This client, oh, they're all hanging. Hilarious. Okay. 215230. 2152. Not sure which it. I can tell which is which by the timestamp on the file name. First one was the server. So the server is stuck. The last thing logged in the server is a load entry request. This client is stuck on curl perform, so that's the actual set request. The actual get URL from server. Service user could be deadlocked, race condition on the server. So this is the hanging client, right? At 5230 I said save deleted, send the command to the server. Okay. Where is it? I actually need milliseconds now in the logs at this point would help to see exactly. I don't see a save deleted. Oh yeah, it is. Or at the end. Okay, that's... Okay, yeah, 5230 it gets... What's happening here? This doesn't make sense. Why would there be a save over there? I can sort out these hanging issues. I can let this thing, I can let users start using this. Anyway, call.io save deleted. Right, that, where's this? Client IO. That's a client log. Oh, that's the server, man. Okay. The first one, the oldest one. So here it receives the request save deleted, blah blah blah, delete entry, and request poll updates. This only happens 20 seconds later. Now remember, these requests are done in threads, whereas this, yeah, if this delete entry were to hang the main thread, or to hang that thread, and now it's got the document locked for route access. So this could be the UE stuff. The UE stuff, this could be an issue. Like if delete entry calls UE stuff, and that UE stuff somehow causes this thread to hang, because we're not supposed to call UE stuff from not the main thread, then basically the next poll for updates that comes in, it may even be, yeah, I don't know, it's possible it may even work, poll for updates. Look, Yeah, yes, it returns successfully. So the servers, the client threads still ran until on simple things like poll for updates, because it doesn't need to lock the document. But the moment somebody called load entry, which I probably did by clicking in, possibly did by clicking somewhere else, I don't know, 52, 54. Yeah, set selected section. It tells us over, please load entry. That load entry asks for a read lock. The read lock waits. In theory, the server's probably still running then. If we were to send poll for updates, we'd probably get a response from the server. Or API test command. That is my belief. Double get. Oh no, cool. Just number C, API test. Huh. That's not the correct URL, and that's, it's also not the correct port, 81. Huh, voila. So the server's still running, look. It's got more threads. The server hasn't completely hung. That's very funny, actually. That's amazing. That is really cool. That's very cool. So I figured out just from looking at this pattern that we should get a response to calling this, and in fact we do. So there's multiple different levels of hanging going on here. The server is not totally hung, it's actually still got threads going, and those threads can listen to client requests that are really simple, and it can echo a response. It's only the two threads that we're serving these two clients that are locked. And that is because of it has nothing per se to do with the server. It's in fact got to do with the fact that it's the reader's writer lock on the document. So line 1 locked. Why did line 1 lock there in the first place? But the first client locked the document. And then the second client's thread got stuck because it's sitting waiting for the first thread to release the write lock on the document, and it's not doing that. Oh, and I think the reason for it comes back actually almost certainly it's got something to do with either Windows doesn't like UV stuff in the threads, or the UV stuff in the threads is triggering something like an idle update or something that's causing problems. So I think the solution is to reprogram this delete entry command to don't do any UE stuff. And the way to do that is, well, there's a couple of ways to do that. We could suppress this dot suppress. Is it suppress or freeze? So basically, now this is going to have a side effect. It may prevent the hanging, but we're still going to be sitting with a problem now. A less serious problem, but the user interface is still going to be sitting. Actually, it's a very serious problem. It's not a serious problem for an unattended server. But it's a serious problem if you're working on the server and clicking on things. Alright, somewhere what's going to happen is that entry is going to sit selected, potentially selected even in the view in the server. Now that is surely there's a better way to do all this, where we still delete it immediately, but we also don't want to do that, to be honest. Get no doc, delete tree from doc, so we don't want to do that. I'm not too worried about that right now. Necessary. Okay, now that thing should result in the entry being deleted but it remaining in the user interface, and the lack of doing user interface stuff I believe should prevent it from hanging. There's a, if this is now 100% stable, then we know that was like the only issue really. But, and then we just need to solve the fact that the user interface doesn't update. Okay, we got one client connected. Let's connect our second client. Now, while it won't delete off the server in the user interface, it will delete off the other connected clients, because the other connected clients are doing the UE update polling in the main thread, and so it's safe to do the UE updates. So let's take, for example, DVD. We're going to sit on DVD and sit on DVD and sit on DVD and delete it in one of the clients. Save that deletion, and the server crashed. That is very, yeah, it's not exactly what I expected, but it's also not surprising because we have the entry selected. So all this user interface stuff in the main thread now have dangling pointers to an entry that's been deleted. Bad, very bad. So anything like that triggers anything to dereference a selected entry, and there's a lot of things, will just go as a crash because we got a dangling pointer. So now this is not much better than the previous situation. How do we solve this? What's a good way to solve this? Basically, the whole way the user interface is programmed, I don't even know if we should support this use case, to be honest. Like, I think maybe to start with, we should just say, if you're running a server, instead of all this user interface, we just have like no user interface, no tree view, no lemon list, no preview area. Maybe just a little window that says the server is running and some basic information like this. How many clients are connected, and things like that. It's a bit of a, and then you know then the server is a dedicated server only. That's not solving the problem per se. That's just like deciding not to solve it because we don't need to right now, and later we can think of smarter solutions. Because I mean, there's no valid reason you really need per se to. The server doesn't need a user interface at all. You can just run the server as a user. I mean, it's nice to have a user interface, but it's not, we don't need it. We can let users be interesting to see where it crashed, if we can see in the logs. So, not really. Although these are threads, so we may actually be able to see this exception. Fatal exception. Yeah, so limit saved. So it's calling save document. And then lemon saved. So it saves the changes from the client, gets here, gets to refs, whatever that is. Refs, interesting. I don't know where that happens. Yeah, so this stuff now gets called. It gets called from the thread also, which is bad. So it might not be what I saved. All this UV stuff is happening in the thread, and it's now happening on dangling pointers. Maybe it's the save that's the problem. No, the previous one didn't even get to the save. It's stuck in the delete entry command. So this calls save the document, this calls limit saved. So this thing could just do something like if server running return, if server, if we're the server, return. But that's not exactly a solution. Because pure using Twice stuff, we don't need it. Section name is saved. It could be useful to be able to, but I mean this is crazy. Like this must happen from the thread, okay? Not necessarily. Either it must happen from the thread, or we need a queue that sends things to the main thread on some sort of queue. The main thread handles it, but I don't like that for a couple of reasons. First of all, if we have an asynchronous queue, then it's going to could cause all sorts of problems, like because there'll be a delay between when that thing gets plunked on the queue. Like say you're passing it, say the client thread says put something on the queue saying this entry was deleted. After the entry delete, please delete it from the UE. Now a whole lot of other things could happen, and then eventually, the event queue handle, blah blah blah, different clients requesting things, and then eventually the main thread gets around to popping that off, and it could be intermingled with other things that don't gel nicely. So that's not an asynchronous queue. I think is going to cause too many problems. There's another option. Instead of an asynchronous queue, we could have a synchronous thing that says, okay, hello main thread, please do this command now, and I'm going to wait for you to do it. Okay, and then but that also doesn't work nicely. Oh, it could, but then the server needs to set with something like a timer, a very high resolution timer, like it could poll at 1000 Hertz. Could poll like 1000 times a second or 100 times a second to check. And this can be done quite efficiently by using, so this is server-side stuff, okay? Delete entry. So yeah, we delete the entry and then we do something like lock event queue, lock special event queue. Okay, this new special event queue. Add a main thread, we deleted an entry with ID such and such. Update message to that queue. Then create a wait for object. Create a wait for signal from other thread object with a pointer to the, or with some handle to the signal object. And then wait, block and wait. And this is very dangerous for a number of reasons. But it's not dangerous, but it's not dangerous, that's the wrong word. But you do have funny side effects. Like a side effect of this would be, let's say client saves a delete entry in, and let's say we're sitting on the server, a user sitting on the server. Now normally we're polling at 1000 Hertz, blah blah blah, not a problem. But if the user does something like press Alt in Windows, okay, and that little menu thing goes into, it goes into the menu mode, Alt F, blah 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 blah. Now suddenly the event queue stops processing or whatever, and or there's something modal. Is that an issue? I don't know. I'm actually not sure. Basically, what could end up happening if we lock the main thread? Yeah, if the main thread gets blocked busy with something and can't process the events to check the queue, then, like, even if you're just doing something hectically CPU intensive, like let's say you do a complex filter or a show full statistics, then the whole time you're doing that on the server, the server can't process these events. And clients that sit and try to do things are going to get funny hangs or slowness. I don't think it's a problem. That's much better than crashing. Much better. Okay, so we sit and wait there, alright, and then the main thread is either some sort of timer or on idle, etc., and or checking where it also, okay, unlock the queue, special event queue, alright, main thread, where it does this, main thread, lock the new special event queue, check if clients have any events for us. And remember, this is, what's nice about this is that it makes this synchronous. Nice about this solution is it makes the whole thing asynchronous. But it's, but of course this means if the main thread holds us up in order of tens or hundreds or even of milliseconds, or even seconds or minutes, then clients will have perceptibly slower responses. Basically, the long story short is don't try to do a lot of stuff on the server. I don't think it's an issue. What could be an issue is the 1000 Hertz, like if we want to handle a lot of requests. If we want to handle, it may not be very scalable. If you want to handle tens of thousands of requests per second, then it's going to become a little bit unscalable. That is not very likely for a dictionary editing application. Main thread then has, yeah, this is something. Main new thread, lock new, check event clients or events for us. Pop them off, pop them off, make copy, pop off and make unlock, because we want to lock, and we want to lock this as quick, short a period of time as possible. Okay, process the event, e.g. deleted entry from tree view. I think this is the only real solution. I don't think there are any other solutions actually. This is the only real solution that allows us to maintain some semblance of user interface on the server. But it doesn't look that difficult, but it doesn't look that... It looks like quite a lot of work. This could be a few hours work. What's the alternative? The alternative is don't have a user interface, or I'll let it crash. The only other alternative then is don't have a user interface. You know, just hide the tree view and everything entirely while the server is running, which is also alright. And in fact, it may be desirable because it'll be faster and you can have a scalable solution. This solution is less highly scalable, e.g. probably not scalable to tens of thousands of queries per second. Let's see. As an alternative solution is simply server UI. That has disadvantage. You know, that has advantage of potential of performance, better performance, and and higher scalability. But this solution has advantage, which is questionable. If this should exist anyway, but sort of allows a user to do some... It's really bad though, to do some user interface stuff on the server. But you still shouldn't. Yeah, so I think the short-term solution is to have the no UE, and so the moment the server starts running, we just sit almost in a... We have to have some UE to be able to close the application, but we can maybe hide the section window or replace the section window with some special just a message thing. Server is running. So the question is, anyway, process event, finish, press event, e.g. something like this, press event, delete requested entry, update UE, etc. So we have no dangling pointers. That's the main problem, the dangling pointers. And signal the object on which the client handling our server's client handler thread is waiting, saying, okay, stop waiting, I'm done. And that is very efficient. Continue here. So this step here, after main thread finishes, it's step 5 below. Step 5 is per below. So basically that signal the object which is waiting at its step 5 above. Yeah. So those two go together, and there's operating system objects for this. Specifically, they are can't remember what they're called. It's not a critical section. It's anyway, double extended classes. I want to see. I wonder if condition maybe could be the condition. POSIX thread wait objects. I don't know. I'm just. I don't know about pthreads. Not POSIX threads. POSIX thread wait objects. I don't know what you call these things even. Not wait. No. not this. Or is it? Yes, it is. You wait on an object, and then the other thread signals the object, I think. Can't remember exactly. It's been a while since I've had to use one of these. But yeah, that's the basic principle. And this would sort of solve our problem. It's a bit of a pain. It means I either have to do all this before I can unleash this whole system on our users. At least I know it's happening now. I think, yeah. So now we got the functionality working, but we got these little niggly issues that make it unstable. And we're going to have to solve them one way or the other. Either we could also have a limited user interface in the, like instead of having no UE, we could limit the UE. Like we could say no entry selection ever. So set selected entry could just always, if the server's running, always forcibly set the selected entry to no selected entry. So yeah, something like that. You know, just because we're gonna have to be careful though. Is that gonna work? I don't know. Maybe. Oh, what have I done? Yeah. Oops. It's not a worry. I just yeah, man, it's really, so I got, feels like I got an, anyway, stop mining. Okay. What's the time? 10:26 is late. I want to have this working by tomorrow. I wanted to have it working by yesterday, but that's not happening, obviously. So I want to have some solution that works by tomorrow. So I need something quick. This is not that complicated, but it is. It's quite a bit of work. I don't know if it's worth bothering. You know, because ultimately, I think it should be an option when you start the server. In the long run, like you could have both options to the user. You could say, you could have a button there that says run the server with no user interface, or run the server with a user interface, and then you basically choosing which set of trade-offs you want. You know, fast one that's scalable, or one that crashes. I mean, not. No, we have to fix the crashing. The question is, what's the quickest thing I can do and have a product by tomorrow, by tonight? And that would probably be bang. Yeah. If it rains, my webcam is going to be stuffed. Sitting outside the window. Okay. Now I can look at the view without getting out of my chair. Just talking nonsense. Alright. Basically I need to think how I'm going to solve this problem. That's more the real question. How long is this going to take? I don't know. It depends how much I... the problem is not just that I need to do this. The problem is also I have to do it for every single thing that the server might have to do. Like delete an entry, edit an existing entry, I don't know, there's how many things. I guess there aren't that many things. New entry, delete entry, edit an entry, and a few other things. So change the checkout status. Actually, that's not necessary. Yeah, there's only a few things really, isn't it? Service client request HTTPD client HTTPD request present head. Right, yeah, okay, it does. Yeah, so we basically have a little special event queue and we say, okay, server, the entry's been deleted, and we're going to sit and wait and tell us, the client processing thread says to the main thread, please tell us when you're done handling that so that we can safely continue in the client processing. Why can't it just safely continue immediately? Why can't it just go on? Why does it need to wait? Actually, it's still not. This is still not going to 100% necessarily work. The only way this is going to work is if we do it before we actually know. It's not. It's still going to be problematic. It's not going to 100% solve the problem. It's going to. It'll almost solve it. But at this step where it calls wait, the main thread could be busy with anything. It could be busy generating statistics. It could be busy running a script on the Lua script on the threads. It could be doing lots of busy things. If the server, the guy sitting on the server is sitting doing lots of funny things, and there's still going to be then a period of time. There will still be some period of time, yeah. If the main thread are already busy. So actually what we need to do is, it's a little bit more complicated than this. So if the main thread already busy, where it can dereference dangling pointers. I know what the solution is. Wait, I'm not sure. There are other things we could do, like that limit saved function. We could say if not the main thread. return. And there are functions to do that. There's functions to easily tell if you're the main thread. But that doesn't really solve the problem per se, does it? You know, just something like that. And we just put a shitload of those everywhere. Oh, but that also doesn't solve the problem. Or yeah, we need to do, before we even start, we need something like hey main thread, we want to edit the document, tell us when it's okay, and then start waiting on a signal object, on signal object 1. Okay. Main thread. That has an on timer. Whatever, blah blah. Idle. Does following. Check if signal object 1. Check if anyone waiting on signal object 1. No. If so, block and wait on signal object 2. Main thread signal. Yeah, signal object. Let's call it UE. And let's call this signal object client. That's not the client processing thread, it's not the client. Not to be confused. Okay. Block and wait on signal object UE. Oh wait, start writing a no. Signal client to proceed and wait on signal object UE. So we do a little back and forth before we even start. Okay, then the client thread unwaits, knows the server is now safely waiting for us to do some editing, and when complete we signal object UE, and then that from that point on proceeds similar to this. I think this is way too much work. This is way too much work. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. Client thread unwait, knows the service now safely waiting for us. We signal object UE. That's mad. That's craziness. Definitely, I don't want to do this now. Signal object UE. So basically the server blocks for a short period. We add an event telling server what we did to a queue, synchronous queue, and then signal our main thread, and we turn blocks again. And checks the event queue for what happened, and does what it needs. You entry deleted. So and for the problems, each update UE, each update main action units, try to not adding pointers. Entry. Yeah, so that. Now would there be just one that all the clients use? Or would each client thread have one of these? poll if anyone waiting. So basically it's a two-step thing. The client's thread says to the main thread, hold on, stop doing anything. When you're done, let me know when it's safe to edit the document. And you're going to wait for me. You tell me when you're going to wait for me, basically. When the server thread says, okay, I'm not doing anything right now on the document, I'm going to wait for you to finish. It says that to the client, okay? Then the client does its thing, edits the document, and then signals to the server. Okay, server, I'm done, and this is what I did. I deleted an entry, or I edited this entry, or whatever. Okay. And the main thread unblocks, and processes that, and say, okay, I got you, you deleted the entry, I'll make sure nothing, no dangling pointers remain to it. So it's a slight variation on this. It's the same idea, but there's a whole extra step required to do it, actually do it safely. This, I like it. I'm really like, I like it. I really like it, but it's quite a lot of work. I don't think it's worth doing now. Maybe later for another day. I like the idea. It's really there are some complications here, like potentially, or questions. Waiting for us to do some editing. Like, yeah. Question, what about the fact we call save, yeah. But, actually, I think the main thread can then do the save, which is probably safer anyway. Or we must have a UI list save, which is fine as well. Is it? No, it's probably not to the ODBC. Yeah, the main thread is much better, especially if we run, say, ODBC. Yeah, we may need to do all this anyway. We may need to do something similar to this. How is this different to just sitting on the reader's writer's lock of the document? Can't we just say lock doc for writing? Isn't that the same thing? And then the main thread sits here with no, it's not the same thing. Is this inefficient or is it necessary? Is it? Service client issue request for Isn't the document lock supposed to solve half this problem in the first place? Like the main thread, isn't the problem really that the main thread doesn't lock the document when it's supposed to? No, the problem now is the save. Well, we could handle the save specially with something similar to this. We could have a wait object, a signal object, something like, hey main thread, please save the document. Wait. The main thread polls. Does anybody any client thread sitting requesting a save? And we do the save and then we signal the object. Could we end up with race conditions between the document write lock and read locks and all this? Very possibly. Not if we choose the save as it edit. And we just lock around the save. I think we're gonna have to, one way or another. There's two problems here. The one is the fact that it will save from a client thread, which then does all this nonsense. Why is that a problem? It's a problem. It's only a problem because we are dangling pointers, isn't it? Why is it a problem? It crashed in. Exception. Refresh controls. There, right there. But why is it still log a refresh controls after the exception? Does that mean... Where does that refs come from? Refs. Boom, that was a dangling. That's why. No, but that's pointed to string is not a problem for dangling. It's just log the value of the string. But let's see if that close bracket logged. No. Show related references. That's a problem. Definitely, it probably crashed inside here. Because entry's wrangling pointer, remember, at this point. Oh, this whole thing, yeah, this is really bad. Definitely don't want to do any of this, yeah. In a client thread. This is a lot of work. Oof, this is difficult. My brain is now... So even if we just tell the main thread to save, it doesn't solve the problem. The main thread will still be sitting with the dangling pointer. If we just not have a UE at all, just a little message, server running, then there's no dangling pointers. That's option 1. Option 2. But I mean, that's a bit weird, like, because you got the whole... You already have the whole user interface there, and then you say start server. It's fine though, it's not the end of the world. We just close everything, I guess. Close the preview. We don't want the preview area because it's really a complex thing that interacts with everything, and it's a browser object embedded. It's going to definitely cause trouble. So we don't want a preview. Do we want a toolbar? Maybe. Don't know. The handler for these things could check if we're not the main thread, but you're still going to have the problem then, you know, that dangling pointers. Instead of suppressing, we could handle it and just handle it differently. We say if we're not the main thread, but we're still going to, like, we could then just, yeah, are we going to have a problem then? Or could we handle it like that? What is the problem of doing it from the main thread? Nothing. There's just dangling pointers if we leave the tree view there. Tree view, and the section is a pointer to the entry. We could clear the pointer, but not do UE stuff. Why not just handle it? Why not just do UE stuff? I don't know, but it caused problems with the delete entry thing. Like delete entry was causing problems where it was hanging inside somehow the handlers of delete entry. Maybe those hang could be solved. No. We can't. Gosh, I'm actually... I don't know what, my blood sugar dropping or something. 2 hours. I think my muscle glycogen is depleted. So my blood sugar is dropping and I need to switch into ketogenic metabolism or eat something. I want to get this working, damn it. What's the quickest and easiest way to get this working? The whole thing works, and that's the cool thing. I think we should just replace this whole UE with save these. What about these things though? So I think we should, as soon as we start the server, delete the tree view, delete the attributes view. I don't even think we should have a lemma list. I know. Wait, do I? Why not the section just sections event handler? Could just check if we're not the main thread calling the event. And I don't want to do that. I don't know how slow that call is to check if you're the main thread. And it doesn't fully solve the problem. It's easy to hide the tree view, okay, because we already have this option, no tree view. That's easy enough. And take a break.